Adaptations and the Wide World of Frogs, Lesson 2. Frog Poetry and a Frog Festival. You will share what you have been reading and writing at the end of this unit in about 3 weeks. Because you will be reading your work aloud, you will work on your froggy fluency. The Pollywogs. And this poem comes from the book Lizards, Frogs, and Pollywogs. The Pollywogs. Follow along silently as I read the text aloud 3 times. We pollywoggle, we pollywiggle, we shake in lakes, make wakes and wriggle. We quiver, we shiver, we jiggle, we jog. We're yearning to turn ourselves into a frog. Second time. The Pollywogs. We pollywoggle, we pollywiggle, we shake in lakes, make wakes and wriggle. We quiver, we shiver, we jiggle, we jog. We're yearning to turn ourselves into a frog. Okay, last time. We pollywoggle, we pollywiggle. We shake in lakes, make wakes and wriggle. We quiver, we shiver, we jiggle, we jog. We're yearning to turn ourselves into a frog. What is the poem mostly about? That's right, pollywogs. What did you notice about how I read the poem? Yeah, did you notice there was like a beat to it? There was a rhythm? What does it mean to read fluently? Right, not to read too fast, not to read too slow, and to read with expression, almost like what we would do when we are talking. Now, let's read it all together. The Pollywogs. We pollywoggle, we pollywiggle, we shake in lakes, make wakes, and wriggle. We quiver, we shiver, we jiggle, we jog. We're yearning to turn ourselves into a frog. Our learning targets. I can fluently read a poem aloud. Can you say that back? I can fluently read a poem aloud. Good job. I can refer explicitly to the text when answering questions about the text. Can you repeat that? I can refer explicitly to the text when answering questions about the text. Good. I can describe the structure of a narrative text. You say it. I can describe the structure of a narrative text. What do close readers do? Read small chunks of text slowly and think about the gist, what the text is mostly about. Circle or underline words they don't know. Use strategies to find the meaning of words they don't know. Context clues, affix clues, root word clues, and use a dictionary. Go back in the text and find evidence for your answers. Write notes or answer questions about the text and discuss with your partner or group. Can you find the meaning of these unfamiliar words? How about these words? Explicitly. Let's clap that out. Explicitly. Now you can even hold down Siri and say, Siri, define explicitly. What does it mean? How about the word unfamiliar? Let's clap that out. Unfamiliar. And do you recognize the part familiar in the word unfamiliar? Great job. Use Siri to define it. Working to become effective learners. Habit of character? I collaborate. What does it look like? I work with other students effectively and stay on task. And what does it sound like? Let's get this done. All right, the Pollywogs. Close reading, the Pollywogs note catcher. So you're going to open your workbook in your Module 2, white and purple book, on page 5. And you will reread that poem and look for words that talk about how a pollywog moves. And on the bottom, you're going to tell me what a pollywog is. So now, when we're reading that poem, Pollywogs, What did we replace the word we with? What does we talk about? Right, we is the pollywogs. Who is the poem mostly about? Right, pollywogs. How did you know that? Right, we could read the title or we can use the context clues in the poem. How do pollywogs move? Right, they wiggle, they waggle, they shake and jiggle. And what are pollywogs? Right. Now reread the last 3 lines of the poem. What is yearning? Yeah, it's like they really want something. Why would pollywogs want to turn into frogs? What do you think? We're going to have different answers for that one. Why record? And we record it in our books. So, why if the frog has a long tongue? So think back into our lesson yesterday. You can always go back to the video from yesterday and listen to the story about why the frog has a long tongue with our frog named Kicker. So, we will begin to build expertise about what makes this a narrative text and what is the gist of the text. So, the gist was there was a tiny frog named Kicker, and he wanted to be in the fly eating contest, right? But he didn't have long legs. So he practiced exercises and he made his tongue really long, and that's how he was catching the flies, and he won. So remember, narrative texts tell a story and entertain the reader. Have a clear sequence of events that make sense and are easy to understand. Pourquoi, I always say that word wrong. What makes it different from other narratives that you may have read before? Right, that story talks about why a frog now has a long tongue. What is the story explaining? What is the point of the narrative? Right, the point of the narrative is for the narrator to tell us why the frogs now have a long tongue. Is this a true story? No, of course not. Could it have happened long ago? No, we know it's not true because frogs can't talk. So now you're going to think back to we're actually going to think forward actually for our final performance task that we're going to complete at the end. You will generate your own writing to include in a Freaky Frog book to engage and educate students in grades 2 through 3. Your book will contain a Pourquoi narrative written in Unit 1, informational writing from Unit 2, a 3-paragraph informational writing from Unit 3, a Freaky Frog trading card from Unit 3 for readers to play a game with. All right, make sure that you are submitting a picture of page 5 or completing page 5 in Seesaw.